At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing, and I'll read the legal notice. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the Town of Preble Town Board on Monday, March 11th, 2024 at 7 p.m. at the Preble Town Hall, Preble Road, Preble, New York, to consider the Town of Preble Comprehensive Plan. Any resident of the Town of Preble is entitled to be heard upon said comprehensive plan at such public hearing. Copies of the said proposed comprehensive plan are available for review at the Town Clerk's office, dated February 14th, 2024. So this time, we can have any questions that we have on the comprehensive plan. Don, could you start us off with just giving us a summary of the small changes that were done?
Well, most of the changes from the last draft to the current are format, organizationally, very little of any true substance. So if people have reviewed this, they'll see that there's a nice picture on the front, which is nice, and there's a map on the inside as well, and some basic information on the first page. There's a table of contents that we didn't have before, so with the help of county planning and members of our own planning board, that's been put together, so it's more organized. Again, the format, the presentation, if you will, the printing, I think is bolder and again clearer. I think, as Peter mentioned earlier to me, like if you look at the executive summary of development goals, I think they're all virtually the same. There might be one minor addition, but in terms of this providing a blueprint for the town moving forward, Jim, there's really minimal change in this document. Attached at the end is the proposed hamlet area, which is new, but that reference was contained in earlier drafts of the comprehensive plan. It also has the agricultural prioritization areas and zoning, and it's got reference to the town aquifer. It's also got the listing of the town roads. So we felt that even though there wasn't really a tremendous substantive change, that it would be smartest to have another public hearing to make sure, again, everyone's had a full, fair opportunity to review and comment on it.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions? Peter?
One further comment with respect to review by the county planning department. We made revisions in response to that. They made some recommendations. In here, you will also see that we are proposing updating of this comp plan starting in 2027. And some of the recommendations that came from the planning department, the county planning department, will be addressed in the next revision of the comp plan. And that has also been viewed by the county planning board. And they said they're comfortable with this and recognize the recommendations for the next time we revise the comprehensive plan.
And just to further dovetail with Peter's comments, as everyone may know by now, the process included referring the proposed comprehensive plan to county planning, and they in turn review it and give this board recommendations. And that's what Peter's referring to. And there are a listing of 11 recommendations, 9 of which refer to action in the future renovations. Of the other 2, one refers to seeker, which unfortunately we have to go through tonight. So that we've also received and reviewed, and the town board has those recommendations from county planning.
Okay,
So these recommendations that they made, they're numbered, but where do they fit into they fit in here in a certain spot, or
Now,
they're
most
just
of them, all, just 9 of them, we said we will consider
okay,
in the next draft, okay?
okay,
Their initial comments from the planning department, we took a lot of their suggestions and made changes and to the maps and some of the text, but substantially, there wasn't much change to the text.
okay,
And those recommendations are recommendations.
right?
mhm,
Because they all start the same way. They all sound the same.
Right.
Just wondering where in the thing they're supposed to fit. So
Mhm.
okay.
mhm. Okay. So does anybody have any questions or comments about the comprehensive plan? Yes, Betty Ann?
Yes, on page 6, you know, you've got county, second paragraph. Not significant change in the number of cows. I think there's more cows now than there were when we had the change the last time. A lot more.
Okay, I can speak to that.
Open
I looked into it closely, as closely as I could get it on a county level. I don't have it on a Preble level, but on a county level, those statistics have been calculated and are available through Cornell. And it's a bit surprising, but the cow population in Cortland County,
in
in Cortland County,
not Preble.
in Cortland County, and I can't get any other statistics from the various bureaus that do that. They only do it to a county level as far as the state does.
Because I went road to road and I come up with a lot less than they got on the big farms. Like your farm down there, how many cows you got? And same was over at Curry's. There's a lot more cows in those 2 farms.
I
And some of the farmers are still in business.
I haven't done a formal census for,
Yeah, but
for
where you got
Preble.
your figure from, we picked up
Let's get
big
out of here.
farms.
Let's do it.
so that's what I've done.
Okay. Okay, so that's Betty Ann's comment. Any other comments?
Yeah, I got one more. Can't find it. Look at this.
Okay, no more comments or questions about the comprehensive plan? So,
Yeah, I got one more.
That- go.
okay,
I
yes,
got one more.
yes.
You know, you've got on page 11, it says, where is it? In other words, what it is, you've got, no alongside the road housing on the roadways, but not in prime farmland. Where do you want him to build? On the mountains?
I'm not sure.
I got
Betty
the
Ann,
old
I-
ones where I upped it from, the one that's not, and it said, on strip development along roadways and the placement of residential subdivisions in prime farmland should be prevented to the extent possible. Where do you want them to build it? And I don't know where it is on the new one.
Well, I think there's an out there, Betty Ann. I think the operable phrase there is to the extent possible. And I think that if there's a situation for building, something can still be built on a roadway if
Yeah,
there's an
but
agreement.
It says put a division, subdivisions, not in prime farmland. Where are you gonna put, on the hills?
Well, Betty Ann, I would agree with Jim's comment that this is a guidance as far as not trying to lose prime land, prime agricultural land
I
in
can see
in
that.
Preble, and that, I don't know whether I can answer your question about, well, where they would go, because there are also conservation areas that are called for to be careful about development in this comprehensive plan. I would say right now, we don't have a great deal of pressure for, I mean, there might be with Micron development.
Down here.
Yeah,
But again, this is a guidance, that this is not hard in stone law or anything, this is a guidance, so, your,
So we're gonna give them a hard time along.
your questions and comments are good. Anybody else, or anything? Okay, yes, yes.
I just had a quick question on the aquifer protection area. You included the aquifer map.
yes,
Is the aquifer protection area include the entire aquifer or?
I'm pretty sure that it does. Don, can you speak to that at all?
I'd have to go to the zoning ordinance, but there is a map showing the aquifer area, and we believe it does.
Okay, because the definition talks about 150 feet from all roots and minimum ponds, regulated wetlands and floodplain boundaries. I was just wondering if there's some inconsistency there with the definition.
I can't hear his comment.
If you go to page 14, halfway down.
If you could stand up, it would be a lot easier.
We can't hear you.
If you go to page 14, halfway down,
Okay,
that's for protection area definition. It's kind of limited.
okay, I'm on 14 and halfway down. And what exactly are you asking?
The aquifer protection area shall be defined as that land line. That paragraph?
He's got the old draft, like I had an old one.
Ah,
Are
okay.
you in
Section 9.
section H?
Section 9. It's section 9 here. This is the one I got the,
Nine.
Page 12.
Okay.
Section 9 in subsection yeah, well, pages, I think in various copies are
section
coming
9,
up different.
Page 12, top, towards the top, second paragraph.
Is it the land use goes for the aquifer protection district? Is that what you're referring to?
The paragraph is the aquifer protection area shall be defined.
Yeah, yeah.
So that doesn't seem to cover the entire aquifer. Just
It doesn't seem to cover the entire.
It refers to the next appendix,
yeah, okay.
which I would,
The appendix 1C,
Yeah, no, I know.
map,
That's what I guess the definition doesn't seem to be consistent with the map. That's what I was saying.
okay. Peter,
It may not be a big deal. but-
any word on that, that the map doesn't seem to be consistent with the definition? Yeah, I think you have to realize that this map, this is kind of a photocopy. I mean, you'd have to go to the county map that is exact and look at that. This map should be pretty close, it's on here, but, I think is that more of a county issue? Amy, you want to say something? The county provided the map, yep. Yep,
I'm not questioning the map. I guess questioning the definition.
the definition,
Yeah, that's my question.
okay.
Can you read it?
The aquifer protection area shall be defined as that land lying within 150 feet from all lakes, man-made ponds, EC regulated wetlands, and the Corps of Engineers floodplain boundary.
And then it refers to the map,
It does.
appendix 1C, right?
No argument there, yeah, I agree. But the text description makes it sound like just small areas as opposed to a pretty large area.
It is a large area. It is a large area. But.
As long as the map takes
Yeah.
precedence, that's all.
Since you're referring to a county map, when you're looking at the definition, just reference Portland County's map.
It's,
Because
It's-
if that ever changes or anything like that, at least then you know where you're gonna go. Instead of trying to be so descriptive.
That's the hymn.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything?
He's got a good question. 150 foot from it would be the whole hymn here in trouble. Because the swamp right down through here.
I can't hear you.
I can't hear, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Betty Ann, can you say what you said again?
The whole map looks like the whole village here in trouble. And if you have to keep 150 foot from it,
No, I think his point is that he's saying it defines only that land within 150 feet of a water body. So perhaps we could simply add the following. The aquifer protection area shall be defined as that, this is the additional language, that land including but not limited to land lying within 150 feet. And as it makes reference to the appendix. Because certainly the zoning ordinance right now has an aquifer protection area. And I think this is intended to be consistent with that. So good point. And I think if we added that language, I think it would make it more consistent.
Sounds reasonable
Because-
to me.
Okay. Don, is that
Does it
something
you,
you
Tom?
take care of?
Yeah.
Does that take care of your concern?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point. Thanks for
Thank
bringing
you.
that up. That's what a public hearing is all about. Now, we're not gonna need another public hearing because.
That's an easy one to answer.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Okay, so we need a motion to leave the public hearing.
That's correct.
Let's get a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I make a motion to adjourn the public hearing. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Okay.
Carried. Okay, at this time at 7:22, we're gonna start our regular meeting. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes from February?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
All in favor? A second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Carried. Jen?
Dog control, 105 miles traveled last month, and there was one dog fight at Marybelle Estates that they had handled. Justice report, no report received.
Highway report, Jeff already did that. And recreation, we don't have anyone here from recreation. County legislature, Kevin? Good,
I got some handouts.
okay.
You can generate them. Generate them. As you can see, I went all of these. I don't know, you can pass these around and kind of look down. I think you might be interested in these.
You never know. And then the last one. This one's more for information
That's a
purposes,
legal matter.
because I know that the railroad kind of can irritate people. So thanks for having me. So what I handed out, to you, is a couple of things. One, is the pilot for the railroad. And on the back of the Portland County IDA, there's a pilot for, the payment of taxes for their, so any municipality that it cuts through receives funding based on the amount of, rail cars going through. So on the back, you can see, that Preble did receive some funding, some money for that. I don't know if you received the check yet.
We did, it's in the paperwork for Jim to take to the
Okay,
bookkeeper.
good. So there was that one. The other one that's interesting is the senior housing. So the Portland Housing Assistance Council has put in application through the state to have a 53 unit housing in the city. First round, they were denied. This is typical for this. So usually it's right around the second round is when they should be getting the funding. So we do know that we are having an issue with housing right now in Portland, and especially senior housing. So these are 1 bedroom units for couples, for singles. And it is looking to be put on River Street, going around the old bend right there, and it goes in through there. So the county, or I, put in the second round. They just submitted, we're putting in a resolution in support of this. We've got our state reps now going to Albany for us, going directly to the home and community renewal group where the funding comes from. So they are our advocates for that. So we hope to see this maybe in May of being approved for that. So that's a good one. The other thing that you'll see that I presented you was our letter from our legal, and that's for the UTV ATVs for county roads. So our attorneys said that it's illegal, and we do not and will not allow ATVs, UTVs to ride our roads. For that. The other thing that I just wanted to punch on a couple of things. So under our government operations committee, we will be appointing or reappointing the Democratic Election Commissioner, Tom. So there's that. We will be in Building and Grounds awarding the bid for the elevator/lift installment for Dwyer Park Pavilion. That came in $67,000 to replace what we have for that one. Highway Committee, we are appointing members to the Dwyer Memorial Park Advisory Board. We are authorizing the 2024 amnesty for municipalities as your typical 30-ton. That will go out to all the highway and to the municipalities so that they know that.
That's in regard to cleanup
Yep.
days, right?
Yep. And that can be done any time of the year. It doesn't have to be done on a specific day. Up to $2,700 worth of tipping fees. And then we're creating 2 solid waste flow control officers. what that is we have a flow control that all waste generated in the county stays in the county, goes to our landfill. Well, some try to kind of bypass that and go to other counties. Tipping fees are usually cheaper or whatever. But we now are gonna have law enforcement float, to ticket them, for going out of the county with waste. And then we're going to be approving, park functions, so Dwyer Park. So the Bluegrass Ramble is gonna be approved. Seven Valley Street Rock Club will be approved. The Empire State, I take it Subies is Subarus, car show, will be approved, and then Independence Day celebration will be approved. It might be a good thing if anybody wants to do fundraisers to kind of focus on those times right there. And then the only real thing I wanted to touch base on is shelters that we have. So one of them is what we call code blue shelters. Those are run by our DSS, which is federal state. So we have regulations that we have to abide by when it comes to those. I know it's been put in the newspaper that we shut them down. Well, we shut them down when it's above 25 degrees. There's no funding. There's nothing. They just shut down for those. The blue light or the code blue per year is right around $700,000 that we pay as a county for those, and that's really to keep those up to that standard. So code blue reimbursement is essential, and that is done through the state for that. We are putting a resolution of support for Salvation Army and having more of a soup kitchen and a facility there for them. But again, that's done by state funding and going down. So here's my question to people. So you know our budget for the county. Do you know how much of that budget is mandated? Just throw it out. Come on, give me it's a percent. So it's
90%.
90%, absolutely. 10% is the only thing that the county can control. That's it. The rest of that 90% is mandated by the state of New York. So this is when we become real critical with that state budget. Our representatives, we had a meeting with them last Friday. Believe it or not, they're critical of that state budget. CHIPS funding they reduced, and that's our highways for improvement. So we are really taking a look. I got a book here to leave to give us kind of like an overview of there, but just out of the numbers, and I don't want to take too much time, but so I went to the New York State Association of Counties conference in Albany. State representatives are there, county representatives throughout the whole state show up there. And then we get an overview, some training on like, hey, what's up with cannabis, you know, all that good stuff. So one of them talked about Medicaid, the transformation of New York Medicaid. And, you know, it's a bunch of slides, a bunch of people talking to us, but there were certain things that stood out. And this is where the state county representatives are kind of like holding back and say, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? So Medicaid expenditures per capita per person, other than New York, they spend roughly about $67 per capita per person that's on Medicaid. Where's New York? $528 per person per capita. And the fundings are the same. I mean, the requirements from the federal government are the same. No one knows why we spend so much on there. It's just, it's amazing. Here's us, here's all the other states. So these are just certain things that we're just trying to figure out. So our representatives that we have also are trying to figure this out as well. So I just wanted to, do a little bit on that one, because out of our budget for Portland County, we're just shy of $10 million that is our responsibility that we pay for Medicaid. And that's on top of what the state pays. So you're starting to really see it climb up there. But again, that's another mandated thing that we have to deal with. So does anybody have any questions on there? I guess the happiness is senior housing is coming to Portland. Finally.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Senior housing. So the buildings on Fort Lapson and Church Street initially, when they were built for senior housing, they are now handicap accessible. That social services pays for. Will this be the same thing?
No. Some of the funding is coming from it's a senior program. So they have then stipulations on that. Stipulations are you have to be 62 or older. And it's a variation of income. So it's not specifically there. And that's why it's single dwelling, single. So you can't have, I don't know, a son or whoever live there as well. It's very restricted on what it has to be.
How can we find out why New York's so much higher?
Oh, we're still looking. I mean, we're looking at it. I mean, they throw out some really, I don't know, I call it dumb math. I call it stupid math. Some of the factors, what are the factors? It was a slide in here. Yeah, some of the factors is, and tell me how this falls into that. Minimum wage hikes is $4 billion. Home care. One of the things that really hit this really big time was where you could go in as a Medicaid recipient and you could pay for your daughter or whatever do that. And honestly, this falls back into New York City because New York City is part of this. And what it was fraud. They were paying each other to pay each other and they weren't there, they weren't doing anything. So I think that program is getting ready to go away, honestly. The bonuses to healthcare workers was another one that kicked that up. Medicaid increases. So Medicaid, when they do reimbursement for medical, they pay 30% less to physicians. So they have to kind of make up that money somehow. Statewide enrollment went up 39% from 2020 during COVID. So the Medicaid numbers as of November 2023 increased by 7.6 million people. New York City's enrollment increased by 4.3 million people. Spending per enrollee in 2022, out of 50 states, we were number 5 in that. And then in 2022 per resident, we were number 1, and we were 70% above the rest of the population in the state or in the country. So, and then the other problem that happened was the federal government, when the pandemic kicked in, people that qualified for Medicaid, they froze it. And you couldn't get them off. And as New York State does, they verify once if you're qualified. They don't look at that annually or anything. So that was another issue, but they are looking at it. And this is one thing. So we did have a reception with the governor, and she said that one of her good things that she is doing is that they are going through Medicaid recipients and re-verifying. And they feel that they can at least take about 1 million people off of that at that point. So it was an eye opener. I do have to say, a big eye opener that we had. Any other questions on that? Okay. All right, thanks, Jim.
Okay. Okay, moving along here. Jen?
Zoning and code enforcement, no report received. The next planning board meeting is scheduled for March 27th at 7 p.m. The next CBA meeting, April 4th at 7:30 p.m.
Historian? We don't have historian here tonight.
Town clerk fees collected in February, $398. Dispersed $392 to the town of Preble and $6 to the New York City Edison.
We'll continue with unfinished business. First item, unfinished business, is moratorium for short-term rentals. Peter, you have something for us to
Yeah, I do.
talk to us about?
The reason for the moratorium was to come up with some zoning article on short-term rentals. And so as a place to start, the planning board, we could come up with taking the town of Canada's short-term rental regulations and modifying them. So we've modified them significantly from the additional one. Just a minute. So this draft zoning article that board can have copies of it. It's where we start on the planning board with the town board to come up with actual regulations about short-term rentals. So this first draft, I'm going to tell you 10 items that exist in this first draft. Okay, the first item is that it prohibits use of R1L dwellings for short-term rentals with the following exceptions. Existing bed and breakfast establishments that already have conditional permits for bed and breakfasts, and R1L properties with existing short-term rental arrangements at the time of the adoption of the moratorium. Second item, that it allows short-term rental arrangements in all other Preble districts with residential use, includes the Hamlet, R1, and Ag districts. But it will require application for and receipt of a conditional permit. Item number 3 requires application for and receipt of such a short-term rental conditional permit, which I'll go into in a moment without the details, for any R1L property with existing non-conforming short-term rental use. And they, people who have those businesses now would have to apply within 90 days of the whatever zoning article is formed. Item number 4 basically describes the requirements of application and acceptance of a short-term rental conditional permit. Number 5, it really describes a lot of standards for those properties to comply with, including ones on the properties themselves, boat launching, insurance, trash removal, rental contracts between the owners and the renters. Item number 6, which is describes procedures for filing those applications. 7, describes conditions for renewal of the conditional permits. Number 8 describes penalties for noncompliance with the requirements and standards of the conditional permit. Number 9 describes grounds for suspension or revocation of a conditional permit. And then in section 1311, which is item 9 in my summary here, is just processes for appeals and hearings on the conditional permits. This is a first preliminary draft. We seek comments, we being the planning board, who will begin to discuss this as whether it's acceptable or not. Seek comments from the town board. Jim Harris will be working with us on this, and then we'll be coming up with something not as drafty, a preliminary draft as this, to bring back to the town board, and eventually take to the public hearing.
Okay.
So
And so I would recommend anybody in the public who's interested in this topic to attend the planning board meetings and follow along with the discussion. That would be the best thing. And come to these meetings too, because we'll be getting updates every month.
Is a copy of that available?
I can be,
If you can give it to me, I'll make copies.
yeah.
Peter, thanks a lot for your report on that.
My pleasure.
Yep, yep. All right, next item in unfinished business, we have a final budget amendment for 2023. Jen, can you just give us a comment on this?
Gina had given us, her final budget amendments, everyone should have a copy of that in your area. These are the amendments that she would like to approve.
And this is just moving money from one account to another to make sure things come out for her annual report in the categories that is supposed to be appropriate when she does her annual report for the state. So we need a motion.
Where is she moving the money from into? It's kind of hard to figure out.
It can be difficult to figure that out. Yes. This is the first I've seen of this too. Okay, so like the $6,000.
Okay, so
She
she's
moves.
got increase and decrease.
Right, right.
Okay.
So that's what you follow is the increase and decrease.
Okay.
It's just going for in the appropriate accounts that she has to put it into for her report to the state. And we do this every year.
Right.
I'm just gonna make copies while you're
Okay.
chatting,
Okay.
and then let me know who's gonna make the
So
motion.
we need a motion to make these budget amendments.
I make a motion to accept the amendments.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Next item, we need to reappoint Peter McClure to the planning board through December 31st of 2027. Because his appointment is up, so we need to reappoint him. Need a motion?
Can I just
Yes,
say something?
go ahead,
That's
Sue.
because Peter's term actually started in 2022, but it was to finish out the term of Rick Burt, which ended in 2022. So Peter was nominated to a 5-year term in 2000, and I think it was last year. And so, in 2022. So it actually, his new term needs to start January 1st, 2023 to 2027.
Okay,
And also, what is on there too is Amy Bertini's, term for planning board. She needs to be appointed as of January 1st, 2024.
Amy and Nancy were already reappointed at the January
Oh,
meeting.
they were,
Yep,
okay,
yep,
so
I
we're all
messaged
set.
you earlier, I apologize, I didn't tell you when you got here.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that in the minutes, thanks, okay.
Okay, thank you for that explanation on Peter's reappointment. So,
I'll make
So-
a motion to reappoint Peter McClure to the planning board.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
And Sue, that change or that need is just so that of the 5 board members, 1 a year is up,
Yes,
and it just gets the rotation corrected.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no new business as of right now.
Jim, can we finish one unfinished?
We will. Well, let me, I'm just going to get through
Okay,
this, then we'll go back to
didn't
that.
want to forget about the comp
No,
plan.
we're not going to
Okay.
forget about it. No new business. Monies received, Cortland County Nutritional Program, $2,833.33. USPS, $779. Northeast Transformers, $1,771.89. Portland County, 2023 fourth quarter sales tax, $143,623.74. Pilot from New York Susquehanna Western Railroads, $453.89. And we're going to have to do a seeker for the comprehensive plan. It's a long, drawn out process. Some of you may not want to stay for that. So I'm gonna open up for public comment right now and ask anybody if they have a comment. Amy, do you have something?
We do have a vacancy on the planning board, and I was just wondering when that will be filled.
Well, we're going to talk about that tonight in executive session. We have 3 applicants.
I got it. Thank you very much, Jim.
Okay, so we will go into executive session tonight, and then we do have to do a seeker for the comprehensive plan. So, but before we do that, I want to open up the meeting to public comment and questions. For anybody who has a question or comment on anything that they want to talk about, this is Sue.
My first public comment is I apologize to the town board and anybody else who was inconvenienced by me losing the keys to the town hall. So I know that they had to have the keys, the locks redone, and I apologize immensely for that. I am so sorry. Another thing is, just to let you, Jen, know, also our ZBA meetings are now at 7 o'clock. The ZBA voted to have the meetings at 7 o'clock. And so, was there anything, I think that was about it. Oh, also, when you go into executive session for the new town, planning board member, that term would be until, December 31st, 2025, I mean. That replaces Jim McGee, so his term expires on December 31st, 2025. So the new person that would be appointed, that would be the term through 2025.
So it's not a full term. It's
Right,
yeah,
right.
it's partial term.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Sue. Anybody else with any? Yes.
I had spoken to you last month about elections and Preble and concerns about accuracy and fairness.
Yep, they're getting everything put together. We did have a talk, and they're going to, and if you want them here, we can get them here. But they're gonna cover everything of what they do for checks and balances.
I have confidence in them. I just wanted it to be stated.
Well, I mean, when you brought that up, it put a lot of questions to a lot of people. Was, what is their checks and balances? Do we, so we understand. We did bring it, or I did bring it to them, and they are now putting everything together so that it'll be. It's going to be put in a PowerPoint, and it's going to be given to the government operations committee. It's going to be recorded so that it can go, so people can observe it. But I will bring those here for the slide PowerPoint for everyone to have.
I just wanted your reassurance.
Oh, you got it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say one other thing about the landfill? You talked about the landfill last month. 7 $1 million for this and $7 million for that, so $14 million for maintenance or something. At one point, I remember a while ago, there was discussion about a regional solution and about garbage going to Okra to the incinerator.
Yep.
Is there any interest in a regional solution? Is that at all economical
Well,
when you think about $14 million?
I mean, it is something that, all the counties are having the same issue. We have been in talks with Madison County to seeing if there's something that we can work with, with them as well. So yeah, there's many things. We were even looking at the rail of being able to use rail car to get rid of it. For Cortland County, when you're looking at trash, we're very small compared to big cities and stuff. So there's so many options that we're looking at, cost benefits, all that. The problem about sending stuff out, we did this with our recycling. So we had a lot going out to, I think it was Pennsylvania. Next thing, they had a big fire, they shut down, and now we're just like, okay, now what do we do? So that's the only bad thing about not keeping it in-house. But we are taking a look at the whole gamut of, because it's
It
pretty
just seemed like such
expensive.
a large amount of money
It is a lot.
for garbage.
Even to a point of, does it look like, here, do we ever get rid of flow control? Do we get rid of flow control and just say, as haulers, make as much money as you can? If you want to go outside with smaller tipping fees or whatever, it's okay, because it's not going into our landfill. So, like I said, there's just so many options that we're all looking into. We have time. We've got about 5 years before we have to do permitting and all that stuff to get to the new part. So we're taking our due diligence and looking at, all avenues. Yep.
Good. Anybody else? Anything? Okay. So at this time, we'll go back and revisit the comprehensive plan. Don, can you explain the process of the seeker?
Yes, because this is a type 1 action, class 5, we need to do a full environmental assessment. There's a short form and a long form, so I have the long form in front of you. It kind of seems, the conclusion is kind of foregone. This is not a construction project, which would be kind of the classic seeker review. This is to analyze and come to a conclusion as to the environmental impact of the comprehensive plan. And there's 3 parts to this. There's part 1, which sets forth the basic information regarding the project, i.e. the updating of the comprehensive plan. Part 2 is the actual environmental review. And let me back up for a moment. Part 1 is filled out to some extent because I attempted to get the basic information in there. Obviously, we'll go through this, Jim, to make sure everyone agrees with that as far as the board members go. Part 2, then the board needs to conclude on each of the questions what the answer is, yes or no, as to the environmental impact. And then ultimately, part 3, which is the last 2 pages, is the determination by this board as to whether there's a significant environmental impact, or what's referred to as a negative declaration, that there is no significant adverse impact. So preliminarily, I think we do need a motion determining that this board is lead agency with regard to the comprehensive plan. So I think for purposes of our record, we should have that established.
Okay. We need a motion declaring the Preble Town Board as lead agency for the comprehensive plan.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
carried.
So with that, if you want to start on page 1 of 13, which are part 1, I don't think it's quite as bad as it sounds because much, I think, of this does not apply.
Mhm.
So we've got name of action or project, Town of Preble Comprehensive Plan, the project location, town-wide, Town of Preble, brief description, it's updating of Town Comprehensive Plan. Of course, the name of the applicant is the township. We list the address. Contact information, we've got Jennifer on as the town clerk on the contact information. So that's page 1. Page 2 is government approvals. And it would seem that only the town board is the governmental entity that is required for approval of this plan. So that's B, A, and everything else is no.
Mhm.
Below that is a project within a coastal area. Of course, the answer is no. So that's part B, government approvals. Part C, planning and zoning. Will administrative or legislative adoption or amendment of a plan, local law, ordinance, rule, or regulation be the only approval which must be granted to enable the proposed action to proceed? I've got yes. In other words, it's this board's resolution and adoption of this comprehensive plan. That is the only approval that needs to be given. And C2A, do any municipally adopted comprehensive land use plans include the site where the proposed action would be located? Well, there is an existing comprehensive plan now by this town that is being updated, so I've answered that yes. And then the following questions are all no. Recommendations for the site where the proposed action would be located. It really doesn't apply here, but we put no. There's no brownfield opportunity area. That's the next, so that's no. Is there an open space plan that's impacted by this? I put no. So zoning is 3 at the top of page 3. Is the site of the proposed action in a municipality with an adopted zoning law or ordinance? Obviously, yes. Is the use permitted or allowed by a special or conditional use permit? Really doesn't apply. That would relate to a specific use or specific proposed use. That doesn't apply here, so they don't give you NA, they give you yes or no. So that's the answer, no. Is a zoning change requested? No. That takes you down to project details. Let's see, wait a minute. C4, existing community services. In what school district is the project located? Of course, Tully and Homer are the school districts. The police that services our town is the county sheriff. Our fire protection is Preble Fire District. Parks serve the project site, Little York Park and the town park. This is D is not filled out. This is not a project, a specific project, therefore, and D applies to specific proposed projects. So through the balance of page 3, through page 4, through page 5, through page 6, through page 7, through page 8, and through the halfway through page 9. That's all part D. Those are all questions that are prompted with regard to a specific action. They are not filled out as they do not apply. And if you went back to one of our questions, I don't want to take too much time here, if I can find it. It says, this is back to C1, will administrative or legislative adoption be the only approval which must be granted to enable the proposed action to proceed? We answered yes. Right below that, there's a bullet point. If yes, complete sections C, F, and G. So that's why we're not filling out D, and it makes sense because it's not a project. and the same for part E. So then if we go to F, which is going to take us on to page 13. In other words, all of D and E are blank. So if you felt there were additional information called for to clarify, other than the comprehensive plan itself, you would have the opportunity to add that at F. And Jim, this calls for you verifying on behalf of the town that the information contained in part 1 is correct. So you might call for a motion to that effect, authorizing you to sign that verification.
Okay, we need a motion for me to sign part 1 of the seeker for the comprehensive plan.
I make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the guts of the environmental analysis starts on page 1, part 2. And again, Jim, you may want to lead this, it's totally up to you, but you'll see numbers 1 through 18. And the top of each numbered question, and if you answer no, then all the subparts contained below each numbered question do not get filled in. It's only if the answer is yes to each of the main questions do you then go down like 1, below 1, there's A through H. So the question on 1, proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. There is no construction.
Right.
So I think your answer is no.
Okay.
So it says if yes, answer questions A through J. If no, move on to section 2. So number 2, impact on geological features. The proposed action may result in modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landform on the site.
You would say no on that.
Impacts on surface water. Number 3, the proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies.
No.
And I think the comment, right, is the design of the comprehensive plan, if anything, is to enhance protection of those.
Right.
4 is impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in a new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
No.
Impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding.
No.
Number 6, impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source.
No.
7, impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna.
No.
I think we're on to number 8, impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources.
No.
And that means in a negative way.
Right.
9, impact on aesthetic resources. The land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. So again, that would
be negative. So
yeah,
no.
if there's something being constructed that's in stark contrast to the area,
Right. No.
the visual. 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource.
No.
11, impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. And I don't know, for some reason, you filled this out online. For some reason that showed no. I didn't mean to
Yeah, that was already checked.
jump the gun, but you're free to answer it otherwise.
Okay.
12, impact on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area.
No.
Impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems.
No,
Impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy.
no,
Impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting.
no,
16 and last, I believe, impact on no, it's not the last. Impact on human health. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
no,
Page 10, consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. So if you said yes, you're saying it is not consistent. So by saying no, you're saying it is consistent.
okay. No. They make things
It would be
confusing.
a double negative.
Yeah.
18, consistency with community character. The proposed project is inconsistent. They want you to answer no here if there's no impact. The proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community characters.
No,
So that completes part 2. That's your environmental analysis. So on to part 3, which is 1 page, 2-sided. So determination of significance at the bottom, this is a type 1. That's why we did the long form. And you have considered part 1, which we completed. We just completed part 2. And we're now about to complete part 3, which is on the back. So it prompts you to make a motion, Jim, and I would suggest that this board make a motion to find that under sub A, this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this negative declaration is issued.
somebody say so move.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Is there a place for me to sign?
There is, Jim. It's kind of
Signature.
hard to find it.
I
down.
see it there. Signature, responsible officer, lead agency, right? This went fast.
We gave it the hard look. That's what we're supposed to do.
And this gets filed with the state?
Yeah.
Okay,
And we need to keep a copy here, of course.
right. So Jennifer can make a copy of this, then we give it to you? Okay.
Or if you want to sign this one too, then I'd marked everything up same
Okay.
way. So we'll give that one to Judge.
It's only 3 times as long as the planning board.
Okay.
Yes, BOD on environmental assessment.
So with that, Jim, I think we are
Yeah,
ready
right. I don't
for
think-
a motion by this board to adopt the comprehensive plan.
Okay. So we need a motion to adopt the comprehensive plan for the town of Preble.
I'll make a motion to adopt the comprehensive plan for the town of Preble.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, good.
Good.
All right, so let's pay the bills for this month. We need a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
My glasses.
All right,
Make a motion pay general fund vouchers abstracts number 3, numbers 34 to 54, totaling $11,225.03.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Need a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers abstract number 3, numbers 24 to 30, totaling $2,240.66.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Okay. At this time, the town board is going to go into executive session to discuss a personnel issue.
I'll just make a motion to that effect.
I'll make the motion, we move to executive session.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
I
Carried.
thirded it.
Yep.
So my truck's been in the shop,
Go to Walmart. Yes.
so I've been riding my UTV to work.
Okay.
I drove right by the sheriff today, parked at the town barn. Yeah, and he didn't do it. He didn't, you know, but I wasn't going 100 miles an hour either. I was going at 25 miles an hour through town.
Oh, I saw it go by the house today.
Yeah, but the last 3 or 4 days.
It's like a camo,
No, it's just black.
oh, it's black,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, he didn't even
Oh,
look
thank you.
twice at me. I thought, shit, I need to
Yeah,
stop. I got a slow moving vehicle, I'll sign on the back and stuff. But still, it's,
Yeah,
it's not
before you used to be able to go from one of your lands to another one.
right.
Now they don't even want to.
Jim. Oh, it off. Is that off? So you guys aren't exempt from that? Huh?
On the UTV thing?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. I don't know why we would be. Yeah. Because they're not farm vehicles.
Oh, wow.
Are they? Are they, Kevin? Is my UTV a farm vehicle?
Yeah, you got your own little exemptions.
Do I? So I am exempt? The sheriff didn't do it. I drove by one today. My truck's been in the shop, so it's taking my UTV to work. And he didn't say anything.
I know in Pat.
No, they won't.
So I need a farm plate on it or something?